Hey guys, so you ready for today's June 12th, 2022, 3:06 a.m. Central Time. Boy, it's early or late, depending on whether you slept. I've had a lot of inquiries on this bill. It's HR7910. I'm sure there's many people out there who have gone over it, or attempted to, I should say, and talked about it. So I really didn't feel the need to do a video, but apparently I should. I'm going to tell you about the bill, a few other things, who voted for it, blah, blah, blah. A very disturbing portion of the bill that I don't watch people's videos unless they're sent to me, and nobody that's video who's been sent to me has mentioned this, and it's a big deal, and I don't understand why they incorporated it in this bill to begin with at all. But I'll go over what the Senate is actually discussing behind closed doors as well, which has the likelihood of highly passing. But anyway, this is a large gun control bill. Chances, in my opinion, which is why I'm going to go over the bill anyway, as you guys all know, I'm pretty damn accurate, is 0. The reason behind that is because when they take too many subjects, like subjects within, is germane, okay, and they put it all in one bill, the likelihood of that type of shit passing is practically 0, because there will be people who are against a certain portion. So unless an amendment comes through and strips out something, an entire section, or alters it in some way, the bills don't pass. It's just the way it is. So this is a political move, okay? However, it's a good one because it kind of squashes the public whining at the House to do something, even though it's, a lot of people are retarded and think that this actually might go somewhere. This bill encompasses about seven different bills. They just decided to roll it all in one on June 2nd, May 31st, 2022, by Jerry Nadler, who is the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. So anyway, this is HR 7910. Just to give you a heads up for midterms, this says Protecting Our Kids Act. This has nothing to do with that, right? It has nothing to do with the schools, arming schools, money towards schools, security officers towards schools. I don't know. Nothing. It has nothing to do with schools. It's completely 100% gun control related. So you cannot go by titles by any means, because titles are politics. So when you see the Democrats coming up towards midterms, you see it on TV when people are arguing against each other. There is a bill that, and I should have brought it up, lowering gas prices. And they keep saying, the Democrats keep saying, Republicans voted against it. Republicans voted against it. That's because that bill did not lower gas prices. It was something 100% different. So you cannot go by the titles of things, obviously. Just putting that out there. So quickly, the summary of this bill, and like I said, I'll show you the section I'm concerned about. So it says, this bill makes various changes to federal firearm laws, including establishing new criminal offenses to expand types of weapons and devices that are subject to regulation. Here we go. Among the changes, the bill. It's only a 40-page bill. It's not very long. Generally prohibits the sale and transfer of certain semi-automatic firearms, individuals who are under 21 years of age. That section is being considered by the Senate, that concept. Establishing a new federal criminal offenses for gun trafficking and related conduct, establishes a federal statutory framework for regulating ghost guns, guns without serial numbers, establishes a framework to regulate storage of firearms on residential premises at the federal, state, and tribunal levels, subjects bump stocks to regulation under federal firearm laws, generally prohibits the import, sale, manufacture, transfer, and possession of a large capacity ammunition feeding devices. I wonder where they came up with that term in the beginning. But anyway, this section is the one that bothers me. Requires the Department of Justice to report on the demographic data of persons who are determined to be ineligible to purchase a firearm based on background check performed by the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, which is NICS. 2 Democrats voted against this. 5 Republicans voted for this. 1 person did not vote. I will go into all 8 of those people in a minute. So it's Title 7, 5, 6, 7? Miscellaneous is the section that I'm concerned about. It starts on 39, ends on 40. This bill is 42 pages. It actually ends on 40. This section creates a profile, okay? And I used to deal with those while I served. So having this in depth to this degree, okay, is far more extensive than some of the profiles I used to even deal with. Here's the deal. Not later than 1 year after the date of enactment of this act and annually thereafter, so every single year, the Attorney General shall submit to the Committee of Judiciary of the Senate, Committee on the Judiciary of the House of Representatives, a report that includes, with respect to the preceding year, the demographic data of persons who were determined to be ineligible to purchase a firearm based on the background check performed by the National Instant Background Check System, NICS. So basically you went in to purchase a firearm and NICS denied you. And now the DOJ is going to take the following information off of your 4473, put it in a report, and create a profile. It includes race, ethnicity, national origin, sex, gender, age, disability, average annual income, and this is funny, English language proficiency, if available. Why is this in here? Why would you want to do this anyway? The only reason you'd want to do this is what? To confiscate guns or to target people. So if you end up getting a gun and somehow you fit this profile, okay, even though, because it doesn't say anything about a criminal background, does it? No. It just gives you a profile on someone. They might as well say, you know, what color hair, what color eyes, how tall are they, what's their weight. I mean, they might as well get really serious here. So they can start targeting people 100% that actually are eligible for firearms. So that's kind of a scary situation. I don't understand why this was put in here. I've never, over the, how many years have I doing this? I've been doing this for 10 years, going over legislation for you guys and stuff. In 10 years regarding any gun control bill, period, I have never seen this section, ever. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, so the roll call on this was roll call 245. The Republican Indiana Hollingsworth was the one that did not vote. Democrats that said no are Golden from Maine and Schrader from Oregon. Republicans who said yes are Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, Gonzalez from Ohio, Jacobs from New York, Kinzinger, from Illinois, who I can't stand, Upton from Michigan. Okay, so those were the people who voted for this bill. So it was 223 to 204, and again, one not voting. This bill won't pass in its current form. It would have to be amended to death in the Senate, and then go to conference, and then go back to the House, get approved, and so forth and so on. And I don't see that happening. I just don't. What's going to happen is gun control will pass this year, in my opinion. It is a very high likelihood. What the Senate is looking into doing, the major portion that I have caught wind of, has to do with juvenile records. So if you are, and they're not very specific at this point, but if you're 18, for let's say, because you're an adult at that point, but it doesn't say, they haven't, as far as I'm aware, gone into, like, if you're 40 and you go in and you walk in, they look at your juvenile record. It's more like when you're an adolescent, if you will. So if you're 18, the NICS will have your juvenile record in it to see if you have some sort of violent history, because that would obviously be important to know about. And the other thing has to do with raising the age to 21. And they are considering, but not 100% there, regulating assault weapons, semi-automatic rifles. That's all they're really considering as of this moment. But they're really focusing on, from what I understand, the juvenile records, which I find actually very relevant. You know, if we're going to do anything regarding, quote, gun control, that is a concept that I do agree with. Now, there's a lot of people who will be like, oh, well, when you're a juvenile, you do stupid shit. And it's like, well, yeah, if you do stupid, violent shit when you're a juvenile and you were 16 when you did it, it doesn't mean you've changed in 2 fucking years, okay? There's plenty of criminals out there. And that's kind of what would be a main focus on some of these people that really shouldn't have guns. Because if they were an adult and pulled some violent shit, they would likely, depending on whether it is, if it's a felony or not, and what kind of act it is, they would be barred from having a firearm. So I do think that's actually quite relevant. Now, how they would do that is questionable, because NICS itself, okay, is actually voluntary for the states. It was ruled by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional at a federal level. So the feds can only persuade or more appropriately bribe the states to comply with the NICS system. So they can't make states do stuff, which is why NICS has a lot of holes in it. Some states are better than others reporting certain things. Like the mental health situation in NICS often is not accurate. Many states don't want to necessarily deal with that unless that person ended up, it had to do with a felony record, then they will add it. But if it's something that isn't, they don't like the HIPAA situation. And Congress has tried to smooth the HIPAA situation over under the Obama administration. They really did a good job in Obamacare, actually, to do that. But it doesn't look like too many states actually jumped on that. So it really will come down to the feds bribing, giving money, okay, that's what I mean, giving money to states to comply with what could be a new regulation regarding juvenile records. I find that quite interesting. I had not heard of that concept before coming out of legislators or at all. So that's kind of interesting. Now, I guess let me know how you guys feel about that, whether you think a juvenile record should be relevant when somebody goes to purchase a firearm. I personally think it is. If you did something ugly in your background that's ugly enough that if you did it as an adult, it would bar you from having a firearm, I think that's relevant. But yeah, NICS has a lot of problems. There's a lot of holes in it. Some of these, quote, mass shootings could have been prevented, actually, had NICS been updated and accurate. Like the shooting that was done by... Boy, I don't even want to go into this. I'll end this video. It was someone in the military, don't even remember which branch, went into that church in Texas and shot people. I think he ended up getting capped himself. But he shouldn't have been able to purchase a firearm. I want to say it was the Air Force is where he was. Regardless, whatever branch he was in, did not report his criminal history within the military, okay, to NICS. Otherwise, he would have been flagged and he would have been denied that firearm. So there are instances where NICS is a problem. There is absolutely nothing the feds can do other than give more money to the states to bribe them to do it. And like they tried to do under Obamacare, try and make it easier to get around laws, concerns like HIPAA and everything else in order to report certain things. So that's what Congress can do. They can bribe the states and they can try and get, allow these states to get around these things, creating loopholes. That's about it. But raising the age to 21, I think is ridiculous. I don't think it should be an issue for handguns either, but obviously it is. Any other concept that's out there I've heard, I'm not interested in. Personally, what I think we should do if we're going to do gun control, quote unquote, if you're going to go anywhere with it, is perhaps to get a training course before you purchase a firearm. And it should be rapid. I mean, when you put in a 4473, you fill it out. They run your shit through NICS. If you're approved, within like 6 hours of being approved, I think courses should be available for you to take. It should be a 6 to 8 hour course. It should give you all the laws that you need, just like anything else. Like if you were to go to get your concealed carry license like I did here in Missouri, which is no longer valid anymore. My concealed carry is, but we're a reciprocity state here now. You go, you learn all the laws, you learn whether you have stand your ground and everything else. You learn, how to not take down completely, but, a weapon, shooting, you pass a shooting section, targets, blah, 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 blah. And then you get a wonderful certificate, okay? That's pretty much the only thing I could think of besides this new concept of the juvenile record. I actually agree with that concept actually a lot. Do you? Anyway, this is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great morning.